Hey, Ag Teacher Thoughts here, coming at you with another video. I thought we would do a little bit of a video about fall blooming plants for your garden, which can make your summer beautiful flowers last all season long. So you can look at something pretty when the frost is about to fly and the pumpkins are turning orange. So as far as fall blooming flowers, one of the ones I'm going to feature here is Cosmos. Now, Cosmos, it has this wonderful lacy foliage and it grows absolutely all summer long, but the blossoms actually don't come out until the very end of summer. We are into the first week of October, and these are our first flowers that are available to this. You can see on this spike here, we've got one spent blossom and the rest are buds. So this is something that's going to really start blooming mid to late September, and that's when you're really going to start to see the blossoms. So this is one, you seed this in the spring, early on in the year, the seeds come up, and then it will grow all summer long, eventually terminating in these wonderful clusters of bright blossoms late in the fall. And one of the things that you want to think about is, see these bees here having a great old time. This is a good late summer, early fall, we're officially in fall, forage food for them. So it's got some nectar, it's got some pollen, it's giving them a chance to get some nutrition right before winter sets in, with one of the last flowers that you're going to see in your garden. And they come in a whole array of colors. This one has white in the center, there's pinks, there's all sorts of colors. Everything I tend to have here so far, mine are all volunteers, so they're coming back year to year to year. But this is one of my favorites here with the white in the center and the pink outer. Another fall blooming flower that you can't really live without is French marigolds. These are coming up in my front flower bed as a volunteer. So I don't reseed these with plugs or pots. All I do, I come in where I find the finished seed heads. Of course, I'm going to wait for them to dry a little bit more. I take the seeds as I deadhead and I just sprinkle and toss them about my flower bed. So I do reseed them by hand, but I'm not doing anything special. And these are going to offer that late season pop of color. The other thing that's really kind of nice about this is I live in an area that's pretty heavily populated with urban deer. And the deer, as far as I've noticed, and from the reading I've done, don't really care for marigolds. And I kind of use them as a way to protect the rest of my flowers. Marigolds are edible, but the deer don't seem to like to eat them. But this is another one that is a good fall bloomer that you can have in your garden, is French marigolds. I do have it partnered with the Cosmos, which is right next door, and there's that really fine leaf. But they're here to offer a nice dense foliage and a bright pop of color that's different than the Cosmos. All right, another good fall color plant here. This is Gaillardia, otherwise known as blanket flower. Now, out in the wild, this is a native plant to us. Of course, this one has had a lot of breeding work done to it to kind of stabilize its shape and color. But out in the area around here, this does set seed midsummer, and then the plant kind of dries up as the moisture disappears. But if you can keep it well watered, it's going to continue offering great blossoms all summer long and well into the fall. I do find these still trying to hold on to blossoms after frost. So this is another good one. And again, it's another one that offers my pollinators something to consume in fall right before winter sets in. The neat thing about my patch is I do have some that have come out as completely yellow. I have been harvesting the seed. I shot a video about it the other day, wasn't really happy with it, so I haven't released it to anyone. But this is a pure yellow, and pure yellow ones are really hard to find in blanket flower, otherwise known as Gaillardia. So I am working on getting this seed to come out true so that I can develop my own line of yellow Gaillardia. Because when you put the yellow ones in next to the, sorry guy, I gotta move that, in next to the ones with the burgundy in there, it does offer just quite the contrast and the pop But yeah, the Gaillardia or blanket flower is another great one for the fall. So you might wonder why I am trying to focus on other things that are really strongly flowering in the fall other than your common ones like petunias and geraniums. Well, this planting kind of shows you that. Here's a planting of petunias. They do get shade later in the summer as the sun starts to ride a little lower on the horizon. There are some blossoms coming out, but really the intense flowering and blossoms of this petunia does wane as summer ends and fall begins. And if you look up here to where the geraniums are, they've pretty much stopped blooming. There's the occasional blossom that comes up, but a lot of these new blossoms are aborting and we're not having new ones come up. So this planting of geraniums is pretty much done for its color. There's still a few, but it's kind of the dregs. And then this year I didn't go through and harvest or cut off any of the bloom spikes because I was hoping to harvest seed again. But as you can see, there's no seed. There's no seed set here on this, which was kind of disappointing. But you know, year to year, that's kind of what happens. Oh, there's the geraniums. Okay, so this is the planting of geraniums. You can see that they've really kind of slowed down. They're just not blooming as much. The old bloom spikes are there. That was an attempt to try to get some seed to harvest for next year. That's not going to happen. So what I'm probably going to do is probably going to work on taking some cuttings, and we'll do some standard methods for taking cuttings of geraniums for a way to winter them over. But yeah, geraniums, not really a good fall color. Same with petunias, they're pretty much done. But let's go find another plant that's a good fall color. Here you go. Here's another good planting of a fall blooming color. These are nasturtiums. And I have a couple of different types of nasturtiums here. This is a volunteer patch. Again, I kind of treat this the same way I do the marigolds. I go through and I find the seed heads, which look like that. Kind of like a double coconut. So there's the seed heads on those. That's what I go looking for. And I wait for those seed heads to dry out. I harvest the seed, and then I go ahead and I sprinkle it right back into my my nasturtium patch. These, I do let them kind of go wild on their own, but as you can see, they are still blossoming. They still have great color. They're still doing really, really well here in an area that doesn't get as much irrigation as I'd like. But this is another one of my fall blooming flowers that offers two things. So it offers a great pop of bright yellow and orange, but the other thing that it has is these wonderful umbrella-shaped leaves. You can see how they've got veining in the center, and then, or veining leading to the center where the stem is. Got these wonderful, almost lily pad-like leaves, which is kind of fantastic in the yard. I love those. Some people do eat these. If I remember right, they are edible. They are called nasturtiums, and they kind of taste nasty if you ask me. And probably one of the most well-known fall plants out here is zinnias. Zinnias start blooming in very late summer. You can see that they are a good place for pollinators to come. We've got some skipper butterflies that are hanging out here. There's it's also a dangerous place. We have a jumper that's got himself a hoverfly. But they do offer great fall color and food for our local pollinators. This is another one that you can seed early in the spring, and it will take care of itself all summer. You just have to make sure that you are watering it. Of course, what would fall be without mums? The one thing that people forget about is mums are a perennial. So this is one of our mums that we got at Costco last year. Once it was done blooming, we went ahead and dug a hole and planted this here in the garden. And then this plant has come up on its own, and it blooms just the same as our new Costco planter. So we enjoy these as containers during the fall. And then afterwards, we plant them actually out in the garden, and they will come up and blossom in the fall the same time as the rest of your containers. So when your mum dies, don't throw it out. Put it in your garden and enjoy that color all through the few weeks that it does that in the fall before the frost flies. And of course, what else would October be without pumpkins? So pumpkins is something that we do actually plant in our flower beds in our gardens, and it offers a great foliage as that plant is growing. And then of course, you know, in our area, pumpkins are expensive. There's not really anybody that grows them around here, so they ship them in trucks. It's like 25 bucks for a pumpkin. So we grow our own. And yes, even here they do ripen. This is a sugar pie pumpkin, one that we've been watching. He's been ripe for a little while now. As long as we leave him on the vine, he'll be okay. There's a couple of them in here. I think we've got 6 or 8 pumpkins off of this vine. But yeah, that's another one that you can use as fall foliage, and this is going to stay there until it frosts. Once it frosts, then the foliage is going to go away, and you're kind of done with just your vines. Now, the other thing that you'll notice with my pumpkins here is in my area, we are relatively dry for our humidity, so we're not getting the mildew on the leaves like you normally would in higher humidity areas where the rain really sets in fall. I mean, we've had a few days that it sprinkles, but it normally dries out and the leaves don't stay damp, so we're not getting the mildew on those. I'm going to feature one last perennial here. This is Gara, otherwise known as whirling butterfly. That's because as these move around in the breeze, the blossoms look like little butterflies. This one is reaching the end of its blossoms. These little wiry strings are well over 3 feet long. And this is another one that's going to hold that blossom. It starts blooming midsummer and holds that blossom all the way through till frost. So we're going to kind of enjoy this one. So Gara, a whirling butterfly, is another one to use. And that's going to be one of the last perennials that I feature in here, and one of the last flowers. And we've got a few more things that we need to do to prepare our garden for next spring. So let me move you over to those beds. So some of you might recognize this as the location where I was growing my poppies. And this is just one of the containers of seed that I was able to harvest off of that. These are poppies that I just use. I just use them for my garden. That's more than a lifetime's worth of poppies. That's a lot. I don't know. It could be 1 million seeds there. So I've got probably half as much in another jar ready to go. But what we're going to do is, in the fall here, I found that if I seed some of my poppies in the fall and some of them in the spring, I get a better germination on those because these get a chance to be stratified naturally. So with our weather, that seed gets its cold treatment. I tend to get better germination with that. And the other thing is, in the spring, that's kind of a reinforcement on the planting. But I've got, almost a tablespoon of seeds in there. And I've got it in a narrow neck bottle so I can put out a few seeds at a time. And I'm just going to liberally sprinkle it over the area. I'm not scratching it into the dirt or anything like that. The action of the rain and snow will take care of that for me. But I am making sure that I get some more seed in here. You know, I did crush up a few seed pods while I was harvesting the seed earlier this summer and sprinkled that in. But we're going to reinforce that with a little bit more, so about a tablespoon more of seed here. And then in the spring, we'll do the same thing. We'll put about a tablespoon of seed in here, and then we will, we'll sprinkle it in some other areas. There's some other flower beds that I'd really like to see the poppy. All right, so let's put some in there. Probably not going to be able to see them coming out of the bottle because they're super small, but trust me, they're coming out. The other reason I like to do a couple of different seedings is in case myself or my wife forgets and goes through and tills up the dirt, we won't end up killing all the poppies that we've planted. We'll still have some backups, and I've got a lot of backups. But anyway, that's kind of some ideas of things that you can do in the fall, some plants that you can plan for next year. You can go ahead and get some of that seed as far as the cosmos or the zinnias. And as soon as fall really kind of sets in and the winter starts going, you can go ahead and plant those seeds just by scattering them on the surface of the soil, and they'll work their way down. So if you get to a farm store and they've got discount seeds, you know, the Cosmos, the Gaillardia, the Zinnias, anything like that, go ahead and seed them into just bare dirt in the fall, and then those plants are going to naturally go through a winter cold treatment, and they're going to be worked down to the soil to the perfect level where they're going to grow spectacularly for you. And then you don't have to remember to go out and plant the seeds in the spring, and you don't have to fight the mud. You can put them in there in the fall. But understand you may have to reseed in the spring, but you know, they'll start growing when they're ready. So you'll get them sprouted up earlier than you'd probably plant them, and they're going to make sure that they're setting that clock to the perfect time for them. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about sunflowers that you can put in your garden that's going to give you that late summer, that early fall color to make your garden continue to just perform and be beautiful for you. Anyway, I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you subscribe. And if you feel so led, please join us on our membership page. There's a lot of benefits that we're starting to roll out for you there. As always, Ag Teacher Thoughts out.